And welcome to this week's FridAI with me, Billy McLaughlin, where I cut through the first and get to the facts on the big bad world of AI and what it means for us as accountants, bookkeepers and finance professionals. We saw Sam Altman throw his toys out of the pram this week when Anthropic launched an ad during the Super Bowl which mocked ChatGPT. I will come on to why in a moment. We've also seen Google Gemini really close the gap, so they've now got users in excess of 750 million of them, which is up from last quarter when they only had 650 million. So really upping their users. And Amazon has said that they are launching a beta to test AI when it comes to production of their films and TV programs to help with things like character consistency. I've said it before and I will say it again, that if our clients and our team can see AI being used in entertainment, then it is undoubtedly going to be expected when it comes to education. So don't be so frightened. Starting off with quite a conversational piece for me, which is about a Harvard Business Review with some research that's been done on a 200-person strong tech company. And they've done a research piece based on what happens when people genuinely lean into using artificial intelligence. Now, at the end of this experiment, they've conducted interviews for around 40 people. And what's really interesting is that burnout was more prevalent. And this is because what's happening is people are using AI and making them feel like more can be done within the day. And as a result, their working hours are bleeding into their lunch times and their evenings. And although they've not been set any sort of pressured targets or anything to achieve, they feel like they should be doing more. So the researchers found, and I quote, "Fatigue, burnout, and growing sense that work is harder to step away from, especially as organizational expectations for speed and responsiveness rise." So I guess the maths behind this is that AI gives you the ability to work as 1.3 people, and therefore your employer notices and expects the employees to start working the equivalent as 1.3 people. And as a result of that, people then start to burn out because they cannot possibly keep going at that rate. So this tool that is essentially supposed to be freeing us all up is actually really raising the bar for how much we should be doing or could be doing throughout the day. Now, this is something that we probably need to be having a conversation with our teams about and making sure that we're really keeping an eye on that capacity piece. So are our teams at full capacity? Yes, AI can alleviate that, but there's also this sense of time saving. So there was actually another research piece that I'd seen where they asked a lot of software developers if they felt like they were speeding up in terms of what they were achieving, and they thought they were getting a 20% time saving, and actually they were slower by 19%. Now, this isn't saying that AI is slowing people down, but if it's not used correctly, it can be, or expectations increase. So if your expectations here and you start using AI and your expectation rises to here, but you can only meet it in the middle, we're actually setting our teams up to fail. So as I said, very conversational for me. I usually come here with the facts, but I'd be really interested to know what your thoughts are on this, and I thought it would be a really great place to start. Just to clarify, the message here isn't to stop using AI, it's just to be intentional with the time that you're saving and what you're then going to spend that time doing. Okay, back to the headlines and why Sam Altman got a little bit of a strop on, and it's because ChatGPT are now doing ads. So this rolled out on Monday. If you are using one of the free versions or the lighter version of the paid subscription, you will see these on there. So if you are using Teams, Pro, Business or Enterprise, don't worry, you will not get adverts because you're paying for your subscription. What is interesting is that only 5% of the 800 million weekly users are actually on one of the subscriptions that won't see adverts. So there are a hell of a lot of people that are going to be getting these now at the bottom of their answers. It does say that it is sponsored, so it is labelled, and it does also say that it's not going to influence the answers that are given. It has been reported that OpenAI burnt through $8 billion last year, so they need to recoup the money somehow, I guess. Keep your eyes peeled for this. I would say, what does that mean for us and what do we have to do? But hopefully it means nothing because you should not be on a free version. Claude next, who are not going to be putting adverts on their models, just to let you know, but they do now link with WordPress. So if your firm has a website which is using WordPress, you can link this to Claude and you can ask it simple questions. So you could say, what are the most top performing blogs? Who is our most regular commenter on the website, for example? And you could even in the future ask it to write some of the best performing blogs based on the information it's got. Now, if you've got WordPress, you probably have these dashboards, but this is definitely leaning into that kind of conversational and real world language that we're seeing used around AI. Don't forget as well, some of your clients will be using WordPress. So this gives you that ability to get those insights very, very quickly when it comes to their marketing and online presence to help them when it comes to growth. Big news now from QuickBooks, who are retiring QBOA from December and they're replacing it with the Intuit Accountant Suite. Now, this to me is definitely moving into that model of the whole Intuit ecosystem working together. Don't forget that they've got the likes of MailChimp, etc. So I think we're going to see these all really being tied into one and a big push for you to be using the full suite. I'm going to just pull out the AI bit here, and although they said this is now going to be an AI native platform, the idea is that it's going to have AI agents that can handle things like categorizing transactions, spotting inconsistencies, and qualifying leads, and also the AI powered anomaly detection as well as closing your books, that type of workflow too. Now, I've seen this in Tom's article, which was great, and Aaron Patrick, obviously the QuickBooks chap, had something to say. I really like this idea of this proactive use case. So it's going to tell you when clients are getting close to that VAT threshold, for example. And these are the type of proactive features that as accountants we want in systems, because we know we need to be doing this. We know we need to be ahead of it, and it's not always that easy. So instead of having AI for the sake of AI, having it to actually do something useful, allow us to be proactive and not reactive, it's really great to see. Now, we've seen AI banded around like hell across all the platforms, so it would be really great to see if the proof is in the pudding and it works well. And also, if you are using QuickBooks, make sure you get familiar with the accounting suite now and don't leave it till the death. So this one does sting a bit because I really love the team over at Jenesys. Nikolai Thompson has done a fantastic job to get the brand known over the last few years and really make a mark in the industry at conferences. So Jack, the AI-powered bot, you may remember this, has unfortunately entered a distressed sales process after an investor over in the States pulled out. They collapsed, and unfortunately that also meant some UK funds were withdrawn as well. They have over 100 firms across the globe, including the likes of UHY, and Nikolai has sent an email out to say it's probably time to start looking for an alternative because they're operating on a skeleton staff, which means no fixes, nobody there to answer your queries and help you out if you need it. Now, if I'm honest, huge kick in the teeth for early adopters. When we give a product a chance, it can really, really hurt when it gets pulled. But there are some great alternatives out there. So if you do want to run any by me or you've got any questions, please drop me a message and I'd be more than happy to help you with that. Now, one thing I would say is if you are adopting a product, don't be frightened to ask the awkward questions. Ask things like who's funding them, how long is their runway, who has access to the data if the company collapses, because all of this is important. And on that note, don't wait for the sale or the collapse of the business. Get yourself looking at something else now and prepare yourself, your team and your clients. I'm sure this will not be the last we see of Nikolai and the team though at some of the Account Tech events over the next 12 months. I'm going to end with two bits of positive app news though, starting with Briefcase, who have just launched a feature with a fixed asset register that is run completely on autopilot. So it will detect fixed assets on a line item basis, and it will also calculate depreciation depending on which treatment you use. So whether you're using the useful life or residual balance, that's okay, it can do it. It will also then post those depreciation journals to your ledger and track everything in the fixed asset register. On top of that, reconcile it all within QuickBooks and Xero. So really great to see another great feature launched by Briefcase. And finally, Vinyl. If you haven't tried their AI chat feature yet, why not? So this is Ask Vinyl. This can now be pulled down from 20 different conversations or 20 hours worth of conversations in your meetings. So if you are recording meetings or internal Teams calls, this is super valuable. The point I want to make here is if you are using Vinyl, give it a go. But we need to change our mindset. So quite often when we talk about note takers, we think adversely, we think our client's gonna have a really negative viewpoint, but actually how incredibly organized and on top of our game do we look as accountants and bookkeepers if a client asks a question and we could just pull down that information from a meeting that we had on the 5th of June 2024. Like, how brilliant is that? So I would say, please do check this out. Don't forget you've got that pool of information, so you could do it per client group, per specific client, per industry, whatever it may be. Asking Vinyl AI to help you with that is going to make you look definitely on top of your A game. They have also teased that this is just the start of some bigger announcements to come later on this month, so keep your eyes peeled. That is everything from me this week on FridAI. As always, if you have any questions, my inbox is always open, and please do subscribe to the newsletter because sometimes there are things that I don't get around to on the video because it gets a little bit lengthy. You know me, I can chat. So there are a few bonus features over in the newsletter as well. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you all next week.